right, welcome to Witchpolice Radio. Here I am in my home of the internet once again, and I have a guest who is new to the podcast, and actually, to be honest, fairly new to me as well. I think I just discovered your music for myself anyway, relatively recently. So I think that I have a lot of questions for you. I know you've kind of been all over the place with your music in various countries around the world, and now you're here in Winnipeg. And I think the best way to sort of start this off is if you want to just introduce yourself and maybe give just a quick bit of background about where you come from musically.
Okay. I am Onna Lou. I am from Argentina. I was born there and I grew up there, and then I moved to the US briefly to study in college at Berklee College of Music. And basically after that, I moved here in
Okay.
2016. For music, where do I come from? I started when I was little, fairly little, like 5 years old, taking guitar lessons and singing. I did that for a couple of years, and looking back now, I realize how obvious it was, how much I liked it. I teach kids now, so
Oh, cool.
I realize when I see this in a kid, and I would just remember like being 5 years old and sitting for hours in the living room, like figuring out the chords and playing and singing. So I did that. Then music was out for like 10 years, and I took it up again when I was a teenager.
Okay.
Guitar. I picked up the guitar to play in church at mass. And I basically started like looking at my friends and I don't know, just learning how to play again. But I loved it. I loved it completely, but I never thought about doing it professionally. It just wasn't part of the possibilities for me.
Mhm.
There was nothing wrong with it. I come from a very musical home, but I guess no one had done it professionally before. So I only decided to do it professionally when I was 20 years old. So then I just basically studied a lot, went to college a lot. I studied classical composition. I got a degree in Argentina for classical composition. And then I went to Berklee in Boston to focus on what I came to realize was my passion, which is writing songs and performing. So I went there and I focused on the songwriting, on the singing, and I learned production.
Okay.
All things that I love doing now. And that's how basically life brought me up to this point.
How did you end up in Winnipeg, of all places?
Of all places, right? You can't imagine like the reactions from my friends and family. Where are you going? Where Winnie the Pooh?
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
it's Winnipeg, it's a city in Canada. Okay. So we many years back, we were thinking with my boyfriend, now husband, we wanted to live abroad. We wanted to try. Now we're both artists, and Argentina is pretty tough country to make a living
Okay.
doing arts. So we were thinking where to go. We liked Spain. We liked Australia, and then we kept meeting people who had lived in Canada or who were living in Canada, and hearing such good things. And then he has a cousin who has lived here for, I don't know, 15 years or so.
Okay, that helps. Yeah.
And yeah, and then there was this like program of sponsorship and immigration and blah blah blah. So we said, okay, let's try. It sounds such a great country.
Yeah.
So here we are trying, and it's going pretty well.
That's good. That's good. I'm glad to hear that. One of the things I wanted to ask you is because, most of the people I have on the show have either lived in Winnipeg, in Manitoba, or even just elsewhere in Canada most of their lives. And so I imagine that their path to getting into the local music community is slightly different from yours because they're kind of born into it, right? So what was your experience, once you got here, sort of finding your place within the community here? Because there's such a huge music community. I mean, of all styles of music here, and then art is obviously a very important thing for Winnipeggers. How did you sort of find your place in here?
Well, that was quite an adventure. And now, like looking back, I see how kamikaze, I don't know if that's the word, was moving here, because I really knew nothing about the music scene. And I knew it was a kind of a small city compared to where I grew up.
Yeah.
But well, it was a mystery. And even more so, like I'm singing in Spanish, this Latin American like folk music.
Yeah.
What's going to happen? So, well, I moved here and I started realizing very quickly the music scene was mm, very, I don't know, diverse
Mhm.
and so active, and there were all these festivals, and so that was a big relief. But then there was this big question: where do I fit in here? And very quickly, thank God, I was introduced to some great musicians like Rodrigo Muñoz,
Okay.
Papa Mambo,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Victor Bustamante, and Philippe Munier, the flamenco guitar player, and Amber Epp, and these people were making flamenco or Latin music. Marco Castillo, he was
Yeah.
great help. So very quickly I met them. So quick that like 2 months after landing here, I was singing background vocals at the jazz festival
Oh, cool. Wow, wow. That's a
at
big
Old Market Square, thanks
yeah.
to Rodrigo Muñoz, which was a great experience, and it helped me a lot. There was a very big emotional boost for me at that time. So I met these people, and so there was like this light of hope very quickly, like, okay, it's possible. These people are making this music here. They are happy. They have a good life. So that was great for me. However, like the first year, of course, nobody knew I existed.
Right.
So it was just meeting people, and I printed this. I saw there was a lot of live music in like restaurants and events and stuff. So I printed this little folder, and I would go to restaurants and like, hello, I am Onna Lou. I'm from Argentina. Here's my, if you want to hire us, blah, blah, blah. And I don't know, I must have left like 60 folders
Yeah.
around the city. And yeah, but it was like almost to the date, like a year after getting here, that I started getting work.
Okay.
And when I started getting work, it was amazing. And I was then like, after a few months in, after the year, I was performing like 5 times a week, sometimes doing like, which was crazy, but like two restaurants, for example, in a day, like
Oh,
playing
wow.
like 5 hours. It was crazy, but I was so happy, and that certainly gave me like the opportunity to develop and grow a lot, as a performer, and having to perform in all sorts of conditions, and that was great. And yeah, and after the restaurants came, festivals, and then I heard about grants, and I started applying to grants, and I got grants to develop, to do shows, to compose music. So I am really amazed, like, about how I've been received here. I have
That's really
nothing
really
but
good to hear.
I'm grateful. Yeah.
It's really good to hear because I do think that Winnipeg, because I mean, like, I haven't played in a band in a long time, but when I did, I mean, I'm still friends with all the people that I played in bands with when I was a teenager, and we all still live here. And I feel like the community is so insular, where everyone knows each other and everyone's played together, that I often wonder how it is for newcomers. So that's really great to hear that people have been welcoming, and you found all these opportunities to perform
What
here. And
What do you play? I'm just curious.
oh, I played guitar very poorly, and but
I'm
it was
sure. I'm sure not so poorly.
pretty poorly. That's why I do this now. That's why I don't. That's why I talk to people who do it well, right? But
Oh, come on. Okay, so guitar mainly.
yes, yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. But
Okay.
but yeah. So like, there's such a tight knit group, right? Everyone knows each other, and I'm sure that by now you've been here long enough where you're starting to
Yeah.
you've realized that already, right?
Yeah,
Everyone's
I
connected.
know that. I realize that, but I still feel like I need to meet so many musicians.
Yeah,
I've kind of like, I've met these amazing like Latin musicians who have been awesome to me, and I love them. But yeah, I still feel like there's lots of people. I see so much music happening here all the time
yeah.
that I'm eager to get to know and collaborate with more musicians.
Who would you say is your audience? Because when you're singing in Spanish, like you said earlier, a lot of people in Winnipeg, it's not their first language or their second language. I mean, there's maybe English and French, but Spanish is only for a small segment of the population. So, is much of your audience outside of Canada, or do you have sort of a growing fan base here in Manitoba?
Well, here performing a lot, I have a group. I have people who follow me, who like what I
Yeah,
do. Every time I play, even when there is almost nobody who speaks Spanish in the audience, I people come to me, say such nice things. They truly, I think, genuinely enjoy it.
yeah.
What I've done a few times when I do shows with my music, um, I print out or project on a screen on the stage like the translation for the
Oh,
lyrics,
cool. Okay.
and people love that. They always thank me so much because of course it's another layer, right? You can enjoy like my voice or the melody or the music, which is amazing in itself. Like it can transcend language. I'm
Yeah,
saying not
yeah.
my music, like music in general.
No, I
It's
know what
amazing.
you
It
mean. Yeah, yeah,
transcends.
yeah,
But then when I love, I in my music there is a lot of focus on the lyrics. I love writing the lyrics, and it's really very important to me that people understand what I'm saying. So when they understand what I'm saying, it's also like the experience gets even better for
well, they
everyone.
can get a deeper appreciation for what you're doing because they actually have the sound and the story behind it, right?
But going back to your question, I feel like I've collected like an audience here that I hope will still keep growing when I go back to playing more shows.
Yeah,
Now that we're getting over COVID, hopefully.
hopefully.
But on social media, my audience is much more on Latin America and Spain,
Okay.
Mexico, Colombia, Argentina, Brazil. Brazil, which is also strange because they
It's
speak Portuguese,
Portuguese. Yeah, yeah.
but there's also a big chunk of people who like what I do there. Yeah, so on social media, it's more like spread
Okay, okay.
around. Yeah.
How do you, I mean, listening to your music, it seems to me that it's very folk based and it's singer songwriter music. Is there a way you define it outside of that? That's just sort of, because as someone who doesn't know a lot of Spanish language genres of music, I know there's a whole other world there of things that I've heard a little bits here and there, and I like things that I've heard here and there, but I definitely don't know the details and the specifics of all of the subgenres in the Spanish speaking music world. So are there other styles that you would kind of associate with what you do?
You pretty much nailed it,
Yes, it's a
because
folk
yeah,
singer songwriter. Yeah.
when I have to describe, yeah, I think the most accurate is like to use the words folk. I would add pop probably, just
Okay.
not
Okay.
because I don't do like traditional, folkloric music. I just do fusion, take
Yeah.
elements from folkloric music and kind of make my thing with it. And then you also said singer-songwriter, which is also like, this focus on the lyrics and more like a personal
Yeah.
style.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Well, that's easy then. Then I can explain it. I can understand it from my Anglo perceptive, right?
Yes, you got it right.
Yeah.
Your perception was correct.
So what I don't want to talk about the pandemic because I'm almost sick of talking about it. And like you said, we're hopefully coming out of it here. But what have you found over this period where shows haven't been able to happen anywhere near the way that they'd happened before? Has it been a creative time for you or a productive time, or have you just been frustrated by the lack of opportunities?
Well, there's been some frustration, but also I have to confess, like it happens many times. I think in crisis, we find like I don't know, like more strength to do stuff.
Yeah.
Somehow it's, I don't know, survival instinct or I don't know, but it's been very creative and very productive, and out of this, what's been like a year and a half
Yeah.
maybe. Somehow after the first few months of wow, is what's happening, then like I collected myself, and then I started like planning the release of new music. I've released 2 singles. I have the plan laid out for the release of my second album.
Oh,
I
cool.
got a grant to compose my third album already. I started like I had this big I feel like pending thing, which was connecting through social media, which people is such a great opportunity, such an exciting time we live in.
Yeah.
And it was like I didn't know how to. And also within this time, I found a way, and I started like doing live shows through Instagram and connecting with people all around the world.
Yeah.
And yeah, I miss, of course, like performing live. I miss it so much, but I've been able to stay sane doing these online shows, and also to like grow in other aspects, and in many aspects I am better for it, like for things that I've been able to do during this time.
Okay. That's good to hear as well. Yeah, because I think that it goes either way, right? People either find, like you said, a second wind to sort of just take on new things, or they've just been completely blocked and feel like they can't create. So it's good to hear that you've been finding ways to
Yeah.
just get yourself out there.
Yeah, doing these things have like I've been composing a lot, like more than other periods in my life.
Yeah, yeah,
So the I don't know, channeling the emotions, the frustration, the uncertainty. So such crazy, unprecedented times. So
yeah,
doing this has probably saved me from depression or I don't know, some dark places.
yeah,
So
yeah. Do you find that the way you're composing is different during this time? Like, is there a different tone to the music you're making just because of the world you're surrounded by?
yes, I think like I'm living differently,
Okay, yeah,
and I'm like my songs from always like have had kind of like strong emotional content. I like to talk about, I feel like what matters,
yeah,
to people. I always think like I want to make songs that make you feel whatever you need to feel, but that you can't my hope is that you can't listen to one of my songs and just not be moved. Like it
right.
will make you feel something. And yeah, the songs I've been composing I are more intense, I think, because I'm also living like more intensely. I try
Sure.
not to postpone stuff. I try to like seize the moment, seize the day, try to enjoy um, whatever comes to my everyday,
Yeah,
enjoy it more, because nothing is now we know nothing is guaranteed, right?
that's right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We've all experienced that for the past year and a half. That yeah, everything that seemed normal has now just been completely upheaval. Yeah,
Yeah, so whenever I'm like, I don't know, or procrastinating a lot or just starting to worry a lot, I just remind myself, well, enjoy everything that's good today. We don't
yeah,
know what's going to happen tomorrow.
that's right. Yeah, yeah.
What super virus or whatever can happen tomorrow.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Take advantage of the time that you have. Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
What's the best way for people to hear you? Because I feel like, like you said, you've developed a following here in Winnipeg, and you've been around long enough that a lot of people are familiar with you. But for those who aren't, what's the best way to find out what you're doing and to hear the stuff you have out now?
Well, my released music is on Spotify and all platforms like Deezer,
Yeah.
iTunes. Like it should, it is on every platform. There are also many videos on YouTube. The two videos I shot here in Winnipeg. The last one showcases many parts of the city, and it's
I
quite
watched that
nice.
one.
So
Yeah. It's very, very
yeah,
Winnipeggy. It's I think that
yeah,
anyone from
right.
here will recognize everywhere in that video immediately.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
And I love showing that to people outside Canada. And this is where I live. And they're like, oh, really? That's what Winnipeg looks like? They don't imagine.
Yeah.
And so the videos on YouTube. And then I have like social media, Facebook, Instagram. I focus a lot on Instagram. I do live shows every Wednesday, like called lunch breaks
Okay.
at 11 a.m. So there I'm with my guitar, just singing every Wednesday for like 20, 25 minutes. And yeah, that's basically. There's a second album coming, the third album coming, so I'm gonna be bugging everyone with my music for a long time.
Do you plan on continuing those lunch break Instagram videos even once you're getting back to playing regular shows?
I think so because as I said, it's a way like people from Winnipeg connect, but also people from everywhere connect,
Yeah,
and I
yeah,
love that. I just love that. I think that's so magic. It doesn't cease to amaze me that
yeah.
we can do that. So yeah, as long as I have the energy and the spirit to do it, I'll keep doing it. I feel it brings a lot of joy to my life. It brings a lot of stability to my emotional life,
Yeah.
and people seem to like love it too. Like the people who follow and connect, I feel like they are giving something to them too. So yeah.
What's a regular scheduled thing they can know to look forward to, right?
Yeah, exactly. I've been doing it, I think, for 8 months now,
Okay.
every Wednesday. So yeah, I love that. So I'll keep doing that.
Before I let you go, one thing I used to do when I started doing the show, I've been doing it for a long time now, but when I first started interviewing people, I was always trying to figure out what Winnipeg sounds like. And I have this idea in my head that whether it's a folk singer or a rapper or a metal band or a rap, anything, electronic musician, I feel like there's something that sounds Winnipeg about a lot of music, and I have no idea what it is. Do you think that Winnipeg has like a feel to it or a sound to it that you've heard in other people's music and maybe is seeping into yours a little bit?
Huh. Interesting.
I don't know if there's an answer to that question. I don't think there is because no one's been able to answer it yet, but I like asking it because I think there's something specifically here about a lot of people's sound, but I don't know what it is. As someone who's from outside, curious what you think about that.
What comes to my mind are two things.
Okay.
One, I feel like people who make music here, I feel kind of like I resonate. I've listened to composers, songwriters such as myself, and I feel like there is this intensity and the emotion, like the depth,
Okay.
the feeling. I love that, and also, I love jazz. I'm not a jazz singer or whatever, but I love singing jazz. I
Yeah.
went to Berkeley, where it's all jazz, but I never expected to live in a place where jazz is so alive as it is in the city. So I feel that also keeps like the influence alive in my music.
Okay.
From jazz.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah. It's interesting to hear that because I mean I think that we take it for granted that jazz is such a big thing here with the jazz festival and with all of these showcases and things that artists are doing. And yeah, it's not necessarily the case in other cities that we have this kind of connection. Yeah.
No, not at all. It's a very jazzy city. It's
Yeah.
surprising.
That's
So
cool. Yeah, I've never
I
thought of
like
that.
that. I think that's very cool. And also, as I said before, like the diversity. I love that, and that strangely, but somehow makes me feel at home. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I love that. It makes me feel comfortable about keep exploring what I do in my music freely.